Hey, welcome to ACDC Hybrid and EV, getting your shop ready. I believe it's just about 2 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Hopefully everybody's online. And one of the things I'm going to do is take a look at my little question box. Let's see how many people we have online here. We've got quite a few people signed up. That's fantastic. I'm going to look for somebody here that I know. I'm going to unmute you, and hopefully you have a microphone. Let's see. Who do I know? There's somebody. Mario, you got a microphone? Can you say hello? Or are you sitting there with just a pair of speakers and a dumb computer with no mic? Mario's not saying a word, so evidently he doesn't have a mic. You wouldn't believe how often that happens. Let's try this fellow. Paul, do you have a microphone? Can you hear me? Can you say hello? Hello? All right, good. I may unmic you from time to time. I'm going to put you on mute right now. A little crazy. All right, here we go. So, if you want to ask me a question, you're going to type in your question. And let's see, Mario has no mic. Okay, you wrote that in there. So if just one person would type in a question and hit send, then I'll know at least one person knows how to ask a question. Otherwise, I'm sitting here talking all the time and there's no questions and it gets a little boring on my end. We want to make this as interactive as possible. So I see Mario typed in no mic. So Mario knows how to type in a question. Anybody else? Go to questions. You type it in, send to all or send privately. Either one, I will see them. No one else has done that. Oh, okay, Bob, good. So this guy named Bob out there, he knows what he's doing. Oh, we got a bunch of them. All right, what's up? Is there a way for us to record it? Not that I know of. There isn't a way, but the recording will be posted back on my website for free. There'll be no passcode, and it could be up there within a couple of days, depending on how busy Happy is, who's one of the people who works for us. She actually works out of Montreal. Okay, so let's get rolling. Here we are. Let's see what I have to say. So if you have questions, let me just get this thing so I can read the questions from time to time. 1 second here. How do I do this? I think I know how. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'll put that down here. Then I can see your questions. I'll put that over there. We are good to go. All right, so if you have a question, just go ahead and type them in, and I'll look from time to time, make sure I answer them. And also, if you don't know how to type, can't figure that out, you don't have a microphone, calling in works just fine. 508-963-1132. Very good. So my first classes were AMI classes, Automotive Management Institute. I am the good-looking guy over here with no hair, and that, some of you will recognize, is Jim Linder. This is a picture from 2001, taken out here in Worcester, Massachusetts, at a thing we used to call Tech Skills. We no longer offer it. But the reason why I bring this up is really this class is part management, part technical. So I want to start with the management stuff, and that's kind of where my background in terms of training. So there's 4 P's of business. You've got product, how good is your hybrid work, the place, which includes the website, do people even know you're working on these things, and how are you going to price it out? So I'm going to give you some ideas on those 4 things, and that'll probably really be the focus of this next hour. Feel free again to jump in with questions. Hello from Oregon. Hello from Worcester. So product, how good are you at fixing these things? This is Chapel Hill Auto Repair. They're down in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and they've hired me to do some training classes for them, private classes just for their shops. They have 3 or 4 places. So I was down there, and obviously everybody has a different skill level, but in this group of people you're seeing there, they're all pretty good techs. They included the service writers, and they included the managers. Basically everybody was involved with the classes. Some of the service writers would get a little lost with some of the technical stuff, but it allowed them to have a complete look at the product that they give out, because their product is not just fixing cars, of course, but it's dealing with a customer that drives in with a Prius and goes, hey, my little triangle light's on, the dealership says I need a new battery, can you help me? And just like any other customer, they're worried about problems and pricing and such. So the product is, how good are you? How good is your work? The place, not only is the building important, and if you don't know my background, I didn't introduce myself very much. Craig Van Battenberg is the name, and I ran an independent repair shop in Worcester for 25 years, where I'm broadcasting live right now from the 2nd floor of my house. So for 25 years, from 77 to 2004, I did the same thing you did. I tried to get people to come in, get their cars serviced, and make sure they felt like they were getting value for their money. So there's a fellow by the name of Matt Drawing a blank on his last name right now. And he runs Cincinnati Hybrid, Matt Overbeck. And Matt Overbeck and I have actually done a couple panel discussions at Apex 2 years in a row. We didn't get invited this year. Well, that's the usual. They picked somebody else, some other topic. But some of these slides here are the work of Matt Overbeck. But he runs a place called Cincinnati Hybrid, a division of Overbeck Automotive in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's worth a look to go to his website. It's obviously CincinnatiHybrid.com to see what he's doing around the place. Not only his building, which is very nice, been there a couple times, but also his web work. Web work is really important when it comes to getting people to come in, and it's considered your place as well. Then you got promotion. This picture of my wife, by the way, Deb, and gentleman Andrew from Hierarch. We buy our high voltage gloves from him. By the way, some of you sent me a little sympathy notes. Thank you. Deb is doing fine. If you go to our website, www.fixhybrid.com, there's a picture of a helicopter. My wife had a heart attack 10 days ago and got airlifted from our summer place in the Berkshires of Massachusetts to a real hospital where they did a little heart surgery, and she's up and running. And literally this Saturday, her and I go off to 2 weeks to Europe. It's amazing, 3 or 4 days, your heart's working again. So at any rate, for those of you who are wondering, Deb's doing great, just so you know. At any rate, make sure you exercise, right? I'm out doing more exercise every time. But promotion is letting people know what you do. And it's anything and everything when people come in contact with you, whether they see you at the grocery store, whether they see you at the fireman's chicken dinner, which for me was Saturday with Deb, right back where she had her heart attack a week ago. We went back out to our summer place. We left a lot of things behind, obviously. We had to go get them. And a good friend of mine, Jamie Woldrich, runs Hilltown Hybrid Automotive. And he done me business cards with it. And I said, Jamie, come on. Unless it's like church or a funeral, in my opinion, weddings are an open game. Bring your business cards with you. Let people know who you are and what you do. Don't be ashamed of that, particularly if you're doing something so unique as hybrid repair. So promotion is everything whenever people come in contact with you. And then the price. Do a little price shopping. Get out there and find out what the dealerships are charging. For example, give them a call. Find out what it's 30, 60, 90,000 mile services on a Prius or a Honda. Find out what they charge to flush the coolant on a Gen 2 Prius. You will be outstanded. I mean, that's the wrong word. You'll be, what's the right word here? Whatever it is, you'll be blown away. Mine went blank for a second. So find out what they charge for a coolant flush on the ICE, on the internal combustion engine for a Prius. You're probably way too low. No such thing as price fixing here. Just make sure you know what your competition is doing. And you know the law says you figure out your own prices independently by looking at your costs, your overhead, and your profit margins. So make sure you do that. We don't break any laws. So what are we going to cover between all the 4 Ps? Well, we're going to look at the hybrid market, EV market, current service issues, some of the problems we're having. Talk a bit about customers' needs, what they want, who are these people, some problems in servicing these, there's still issues, future servicing, where you might want to be in 5 or 10 years, some safety equipment, some testing, some charging. We'll talk about ASC, what they're doing around testing. Talk a bit about training. Obviously, it'll be kind of a self-promotion, but I will talk about my competitors a bit. You might be surprised how candid I'll be. And also how you can promote your own shop. And the bottom line is, can I make any money doing this? Because let's face it, if you can't make any money doing it, don't get involved. It would be a dumb business decision to do that. So who owns them? Well, in the United States, we've got over 2 million hybrid vehicles. There's almost 6 million in the world, 5.5 million roughly. Hybrid owners love their cars. I mean, they love their cars. Like, they don't just like their truck. They like their cars a lot. So you need to be respectful of that. Obviously, if you're not one of them, if you're not kind of a green-minded, at least thinking about buying a hybrid, they're probably going to sniff that out pretty quickly. And don't be surprised if they're looking for another shop. It's just who they are and how they think. They're middle-aged. They make $150,000 or more. If they have electric cars, $178K, still in this economy in the U.S. These are the customers that you want. They can just say, fix my car, and you don't have to tell me how much. I'll just pay for it with a check when I show up, and their check won't bounce. It's a second or third car almost always, so they can leave it for a week at a time if they have to. They don't want to, but they can. They're well-educated people. Typically, they have a bachelor's degree or better, or if they're self-made, they're just very well-read. And why do they buy these cars? Because they care about the planet. They're not going to laugh when somebody says we're trying to keep the oceans from rising. That's not funny to them. It's quite serious to them. And so what they're trying to do is cut down on CO2, carbon dioxide. They understand that very, very well. So they know they're still polluting. And they also realize that a Hummer driven 2,000 miles a year is less damaging to the planet than a Prius going 40,000 miles a year. So you might find they don't rack up the miles quite as much as you'd like, because they might actually be using bicycles, walking, and public transportation. Unique people. Get to know them, and you might even want to be one of them. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but they're the people you're working with. The market share. This is pretty cool. This is just March. It's a random month, but here's the price of gasoline. Okay? Look at this. What happened? Here's our economy, right? The economy and the price of gas has gone kind of the same way, and there's hybrid sales. EV sales, of course, in 2007 didn't exist. So if you look at EV sales right about here, right, they've done this. They've been really crazy. Right now, the Volt is going nuts. Even though you read that they are shutting down the Volt plant for 5 weeks, that's just smart work. They've overbuilt more Volts than they're selling, so they're going to stop making them for 5 weeks to keep the price up. They don't want to discount these things. They need that 40 grand that they get for that car. So the market share is up. My suspicion is it's going to stay up, but it does fluctuate with economies and the price of fuel. All right? Let's see here. Moving on. My screen is stuck. Sometimes that happens. Let's see if we can get it to move. Nope, it's stuck. There we go. Okay. This one is a chart that I found. I thought this was kind of interesting. Let's see if there's any questions come in so far. Nope. Okay. This one is hybrid sales versus diesel. And I'll be over in Germany for 2 weeks, and I'll tell you, I started going over there to teach 6, 7 years ago, and no one was interested in hybrids. They had a little bit of stuff. Now, big interest. Just came back from Liverpool doing some classes in England. Because the hybrid vehicles are showing their worth. Anybody that owns a Gen 2 Prius with 200,000 miles on it that bought it new is going to tell you how incredibly good that car is. What have we got here? Here's my diesel sales. Okay, there's my diesel sales. Everything's great. Till when? Till the economy crashed. Well, why did diesel sales drop so quickly? Because it's trucks, and truck sales went way off. Well, how come hybrid sales were so low? Well, back here you only had a dumb-looking Prius and a dumber-looking Insight. The Civic came out a little bit better. Then the new Prius was brought out. The new Prius, the Gen 2, it's actually the Gen 3 now. It started doing well, but it took up till this time, till 2008, for these people to drive 150,000 miles without any trouble, without the battery wearing out or any big issues. Then the word got out, these things are pretty damn good. So the economy tanks, diesels go in the toilet, and what happens to the hybrid sales? Up and up and up. So there's good reason to be involved with this market. Top states. I don't know where everybody's from. I'll get a list later on who was actually on the webinar. But here I am in Massachusetts, right? Small state. 3% of our cars are hybrids. Might be 4% now. This is about a 2-year-old chart. This is the accurate number here. I've updated this. But this is about 2 years ago. Probably roughly stays the same. And interesting, here's your counties. So if you're in Los Angeles County, again, this is 2 years ago, we could be double that now. Prius sales have gone completely ballistic with a lot of things that have been happening. Let's see, I lost something. Oh, wait. I have lost the ability to look at questions. That happened before. Let me just try making one click. Oh, no, I got it back. Did I? Not really. Nope, okay. Sorry, folks. So I won't be able to see your questions. That happens from time to time. I'm never quite sure why. So if you have questions, it's going to be 508-963-1132. Call them in. Darcy will bring him in the room. So what do technicians think of these cars? Well, they really think they're excellent. The ones who work on these things, my pen back, they like them. They see 10-year-old cars with 200,000 plus. Gen 1 battery packs are having trouble. I'm going to give you a battery pack rebuilder supplier's email address later on, or website to get batteries. Civic and Insights are having battery trouble. All Hondas are having battery trouble. Honda's not even on my should-buy list. Even though I'm a Honda fan, as you probably know, some of you, I don't recommend Honda hybrids to anyone because batteries are having too many troubles at 100 and 150,000 miles, which to me is not good enough. Most shops, are selling a lot of maintenance, the 30s, the 60s, the 90s. There's maintenance to do, not a bun, but it's there. Not a lot of brake work because of regen. But if you live in the rust belt like I do, you've got calipers rusting up and things like that. Why do people fix them? High resale value. You probably know we have 9 hybrids that we have in our fleet, and I bought a Prius about a year ago because I keep one on the West Coast, and that's now worth $2,000 more than what I paid for it because the price of gas has gone up. Okay, make sure I didn't miss anything. Here we go. Common problems. Low rolling resistance tires. People buy cheap tires. They don't know what they're doing. Maybe second owner. Big issues. Causes the ABS light to come on. Your fuel economy is bad. The handling is bad. These need factory tires or really good ones. I'm running a set of Michelins right now on my Gen 2 Prius. I like them. I ran a set of Bridgestones as well. I like them. But these were high-end, expensive green tires. A lot of poor maintenance out there. Not to beat up dealerships, but sometimes it doesn't quite get done. And there's a fair amount of factory fixes that are out there you can do, not warranty, TSBs. Again, battery failures, 7 to 10 years. We're seeing this on the Gen 1 Prius, which is 01 to 03. I see a little bit of trouble with Gen 2, but, very high mileage. Cooling systems, they've got a little inverter 12-volt pump. Fails with quite regularity. Ford has an updated one for their Escape. Toyota's had a recall on it, but you still might see some stuff. And then Honda's got lots of trouble with their CVTs. So Honda's got issues here. Study up on that. Here's our old style pump that goes on a Ford Escape. There's a new one, a tiny one, and we've got battery issues. And obviously that's a little bit of crap coming out of a CVT transmission. Don't believe the manufacturers when they say it's got lifetime fluid in the CVT. That's baloney. If your CVT has 36,000 miles on it or 2 years, I would be flushing out that fluid for sure, or draining hot fill, depending on what you're going to do. Sorry about the can't get your questions. So again, call them in if you have any. Some other common problems. Drive motor failures. Right here you can see a burn mark where this is MG2, stator out of MG2, out of a Gen 1 Prius. Here's a good one. So these are failing, fairly high, like maybe 10%. That's pretty high for anything. Is it transmission fluid not being changed? We really don't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer. But certainly transmission fluid changing is wise. Use OEM fluids. Don't go fooling around unless you know for a fact it's as good. Wheel bearing. We've got some wheel bearing issues with all the Priuses, new and old. The newer stuff is a hub assembly. Typically it's easier to take that knuckle right out of the car and do it on the bench. Try it on the car a couple times. You won't like it. And then we've got lots of AGM battery issues because people don't understand that's an absorbed glass mat battery has a special charger. So the AGM battery currently, and I think this is changing right now, for the Gen 2 Prius was an OEM only. I believe that has changed. If anybody knows for sure, send me an email and I will put that in my next newsletter. Be a part number where you can buy it. And what are you looking at here? Obviously, transmission fluid. This is how you sell it, folks. You got to show the person the old and the bad, and they're going to say, fine, let's do it. Got to give them a reason. What do you need to buy? What about the money part? Well, you need some training. Obviously, that it varies from a webinar from $75, which is what we sell them for typically, to a full-blown 6-day class we charge $4,000 for. Anything in between is out there. You need to make sure that your meters are Cat 3 rated to 1,000 volts. I would suggest if you're serious about this, you go through the shop and you collect all the meters, cables, and ends that are not Cat 3 1,000 volt and take them home. Use them on the farm tractor, get them out of the shop because they're almost identical. It's hard to tell one from the other. And then replace them all with Cat 3 stuff. I don't sell this stuff, so this is not self-serving. Okay. In fact, a good place to go with that one is AES Wave. It's on my website. AE, Automotive Electrical Systems, AESWave.com. And just mention my name. It always helps. I don't get a kickback, but we want them to know out there in Fresno, California, we love them. Gloves, we do sell lots of gloves, so you see us for that. I think we've got some good pricing. But you need some gloves. They need to be Class 0, rated to 1,000 volts. I've got a collection of gloves I show in class that are Class 00, rated to 500, that have already failed within a year. So buy the good stuff. Factory level scan tools. You can try all you want with aftermarket. I've got aftermarket companies trying to get me to endorse their tools. Nothing beats a factory scan tool. And you know, a TechStream, today after you own the laptop and you buy the initial purchase, it's $800 a year. to keep it rolling. Factory scan tool for Toyota. And if you're a locksmith, I think it's around 1200. HDS, IDS, this is GM and Ford and all the other ones. There's a lot out there. The three big sellers for hybrids are obviously Ford, Honda, Toyota, with Toyota being dominant. GM coming on strong, but they've got a long way to go to get any market share. Information, all data, all these places. The one I work with exclusively is Identifix. Every Identifix technician, hotline person that does Asian has done our 6-day class. Some have done it twice. We're still waiting to get a contract with Identifix we don't have to get everybody trained, because now it's European, Ford, GM, Chrysler, everybody's got this stuff. Not Chrysler, not yet, it's coming. Well, though you purists do know there was a Chrysler Durango and Aspen hybrid. They made 600 of them in October of 2008. Want to correct me here. And you need to buy an AGM battery charger for sure. Again, a company I like there is Medtronic's. Very good stuff, pricey and worth the money. And also, I think you need to get a hybrid car for your shop. This is on the need to. This is not like maybe. This is like, I really need this stuff if I want to be considered competent in this business. So you know what you're doing, you're being safe, you got a great scan tool, you can charge up a 12-volt battery without destroying it, and you've got a hybrid car with your name on it, parked out front. And you can still get them sometimes inexpensively. In fact, the best way, and I do this all the time, that I suggest the guys do it, go buy a hybrid with high miles that won't start. Just buy it. Buy a Prius. Buy one that looks like a hybrid. If it doesn't look like a hybrid, you got to put the word hybrid all over the side of it. Like if you got a Ford Escape, looks the same as anything else, put a big, huge sign. Ford Escape hybrid gas electric. It's on the side the door of our car because no one would recognize it otherwise. But you need to advertise, let people know. But driving one is a great commitment to your customers. They know that you probably like this stuff. What do you need to build? Well, dedicated bays to keep your equipment nearby. You're gonna have to have definitely gonna have to have one bay with a very flat, level surface, and the arms coming in from the side. Why? You're not going to be able to take a battery out of an electric car, a Volt or a Leaf or anything else, unless you have a clear place underneath the lift, because you're going to have a special jig and a special lift arrangement that slides in under the car. These batteries are from 500 pounds to 800 pounds. Drop it down, wheel it out. It's the size of your desk, okay, and about 8 inches thick, and then be able to store that somewhere out of the way, which is why you need this flat base sort of near this. Think about, how am I going to put my shop together so I can do this? And right next to there, you need a charging station for an EV. It could be an outdoor station with a cord able to swing in the door and charge up a car, which is what I recommend. Because if you have an EV charging station, it puts you on the map. Go to a website, and it's not on my website yet. I got to put it on there. Plugshare.com. Plugshare.com is where you can look up every commercial charging station. You want to get those people to come in that make $175,000 a year, and they just bought a Nissan Leaf, or they bought the new Ford Focus EV or a Volt or whatever it is. Get yourself a charging station. Email me, and I'll be happy to give you some more info. Or we could even just have another webinar on buying charging stations. I'd be happy to tell you everything I know. There's a little bit in this presentation as well. But when you have that outside with a big old green sign, a leaf hanging off it, or whatever we're going to do these days, lilacs, and it says, free electric car charging. If somebody's plugged in 24/7, that's less than making one pot of coffee for your customers every day. So it's cheap. Buying the station is cheap. Nothing about it's expensive. And obviously you need a safe place to work and store your batteries. So you might want to consider a place that's non-conductive almost everywhere, where your batteries go into that, because you're going to be doing some battery work someday, I'm pretty sure. Here's Matt Overbeck's car that he uses to run around with, his front of his shop. Very nice place, Cincinnati, Ohio. And that's a little tester that we've been promoting for Medtronics for a while. I forget to do my adoption commercial. I always do that here, so I'll do it real quick. Go to my website and look under Fat Cats, F-A-A-T, Fat Cats, okay, 2 A's. We were given a CATS, fatcats.org, or just linked from our website. Real quickly, my wife and I adopted 2 kids, both from foster care, and we care a lot about foster kids getting homes. So we have a brand new Midtronics tester that we are raffling off for $20 a ticket, and the raffle is going to be November 25th. And another live webinar. I'm going to pick the winner live on the web, I think 8 o'clock. Anyway, lots of stuff about that. So if you want to win one of these things for $20, give more if you'd like, go to fatcats.org or find us on the web. Oh, there's a link. What else should you buy? This is like, could you buy? Maybe I don't absolutely need it. Insulation testers, sometimes called a megometer. Those who've done training with me before, if you're familiar with using an ohmmeter to test a fuel injector, and you know that when you test it and it tests bad, it's probably bad. It is bad. But if it tests good, you're not too sure. That's kind of where insulation testers fall. Although Fluke has been very nice to me, and I like Fluke, and we just bought a new OTC insulation tester to use in the classroom, it has its limits. So that's why it's on the could buy and not must buy list. High voltage battery tester, the one I just showed you, that's nice, but it's just as much a marketing tool as it is a diagnostic tool. It doesn't always find a bad battery. It has missed a couple. And when I do my battery class, we talk about another way to go at that tester to be a little more sure we're finding those bad batteries. Insulated table and tools. Don't buy a whole lot of insulated tools. If you have, well, you have. You don't need a lot because you're never going to be putting a wrench on a live part unless you're rebuilding batteries. Then you do. Stay tuned. I'll be meeting with another company in Frankfurt next week. We almost have a battery rebuilding insulated toolkit for sale. Really inexpensive, like in the less than hundreds of dollars. Differential probes. If you're a scope user, hopefully all of you are, you need one differential probe per channel to hook it up on a high voltage circuit, or you're going to get yourself in trouble, mess up your tool, or worst case, get the scope into the high voltage system. So don't hook up your scope to anything high voltage unless you have a differential probe on there. Right now I'm using Pico. I'm a big fan of Pico, but I've used a lot of Fluke stuff as well. There's a lot of stuff out there for sale. Dedicated AC equipment, probably not necessary. There's some information on my web. It's free. Just look around. I think it's all things hybrid. You'll see a nice report on this. If you have hoses, new hoses and new gauges that you keep just for hybrid vehicles, you won't be contaminating the hybrid oil in the AC compressor with PAG oil, which is what the issue is. But you can do a little bit of reading on my website. It's free. Just find it there. If you can't find something on the web, shoot me an email. I'll send you a link. And then signage. How are you going to advertise this stuff? I was over again at a lovely shop, Siki's Garage in Williamsburg, Mass, over the weekend at a little fun party. Just got married. And he's got this great signage, neon. I think he kind of lifted the logo from Ford, but, it's this hybrid service. Nice little neon in the window, lights up at night. Subtle. Some guys are more, but you need to let somebody know. So these things you have to buy. What kind of problems do we have with servicing? Well, here's the issues right now with hybrids. We don't have a lot of good aftermarket parts. You may say we don't have a lot of good aftermarket parts for anything. Depends on your opinion of aftermarket parts. But it's hard to find the reasonably priced stuff. Maybe Prius once in a while, because these are still low volume, not a lot of money to be made for an aftermarket parts guy to come in. Battery failures have been a big problem. That's when Dave Taylor, who did Up Your Voltage, that's the name of a class that we teach. He did Up Your Voltage #1, went into business. Really good guy. That's the place to buy your battery. There's no doubt about that. There are other battery companies as well. And if you have concerns, just shoot me an email and I'll tell you what I think. I recommend anyone that's good. If anybody wanted to know, if you don't, well, I get you a captive audience, I'll just tell you. If anybody wants an endorsement from me, here's the way it works. You send 2 of your engineers to Up Your Voltage. You pay full price, $4,000 a piece, and you hang out with us for 6 days. You show your product, you let us use it, whatever it is. Then the students, of which we usually have about 15 to 20, we take a vote after you leave. And if they like the product, we endorse it. If they don't like the product, we don't. It's that simple. That keeps me out of it. And the people that bring their products know that I'm not the one making the final decision. I want the shop owners to make a decision whether this is worth the money and is it any good? Does it have benefit? Obviously, if it doesn't, why spend the money? Spend it on something else. Go on vacation. So we don't have a lot of good aftermarket. We don't have a lot of good lower cost options. We just don't. But customers have money. Your only person you have to worry about is the dealership, unless you have like 2 really good hybrid repair centers in the same town. That does exist in the town of Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco. I've been teaching out there earlier this year. There's a lot of highly competitive hybrid shops, and some of them don't get along anymore in that kind of realm, but that's pretty rare. Usually if you get into this, like Mac Overbeck does, he owns Cincinnati, literally. He was telling me recently on the phone, this is great, there's 3 Toyota dealerships in his town. So last year, 2011, he was talking about. 2011, he purchased about 16 battery packs from Reinvolt Technologies. That's the guy that does the rebuilds. All the dealerships, this is for Gen 1 Prius, all the dealerships in town together, because he knows them well, added up, sold 4. 4. So that means he's got, what, do the math, 70% of the hybrid business already on older cars that need service in Cincinnati, and he's all alone out there doing this. And his friends make fun of him for being a greenie. Well, I think the word green might have to do with the money he's putting in the bank and not the CO2 that's not coming out of his tailpipe. I don't know. You can ask Matt Overbeck. Send him an email. What else we got here? Let's see. Maybe I can get this thing to move. It's stuck again. That happens from time to time. Nothing wants to go. Click that button. Hold on, folks. Let's see if we can make it work. Okay, it worked. Let me just back up one, make sure I didn't go too. Oh, all right. Certifications and qualifications. All right. No one is currently certifying hybrid or EV techs. That's interesting. Look at this. This is from a label on a battery on an OEM car. It says qualified techs. ASE, Automotive Servicing Excellence, is not certifying anybody on techs. Why would that be? Let me make it up here for a second. Let's call it, we've got 1,000 attorneys in the United States for every 100 engineers. Do I hear lawsuit? Let me tell you about my attorney for a second. His name is Dave Weber. His nickname is Biodiesel Dave. I met Dave at ACDC's brick and mortar building at 19 Wells Street here in Worcester in 1999 or 2000 when he came to our emissions program. We were one of many certified emission repair centers for the state. And he was a tech, and he drove a diesel, and he had vegetable oil in it. So I made fun of him and called him Biodiesel Dave. He had a great sense of humor. He became a shop owner in Belchertown, Massachusetts at Pelham Garage for years and years and years until his back started getting sore. And he says, my dad's an attorney, my brother's an attorney, I didn't know that part about it. So he goes to law school. He graduates from law school 4 years ago, and I run into him and said, what are you doing? He says, I'm an attorney. What kind of law do you do? He says, business. Bingo. So he's my attorney. We're looking into what is required for certifying EV techs. Everybody's afraid of this stuff. I'm not, obviously. So maybe we'll be the first, we don't know. So you won't see the word certified. It isn't around. And ASE is staying a mile away from it. I have my own views, and I love ASE. I just went back to my research again because they were all expired. So you're going to see qualified, right? So you're not going to be able to get an ASE certification. They're not even anywhere near doing anything with hybrid cars. So you can get qualified. You can get qualified with us, and you get this lovely little thing. You can put it, sew this on your uniform, and I think it's a pretty little logo. You can learn more about it. Go to our website. I have to send you a link, actually. It's a little buried in there. And we have a new employee, Rick, and Rick is going to be rolling out this qualified hybrid program for the second time. I rolled it out 6 years ago, but didn't keep up with it. So now we have a dedicated employee. He's going to be part-time, just making sure you get qualified. It's good for anyone. Very similar to ASE type stuff. Again, we're looking at the certification word. How do we use it? Can we do it? So there's a lot there. A couple reasons, as you probably know. It talks about promotion. Well, if you want a Prius owner who makes a lot of dough, well-educated, to come to your shop, and you're kind of new with this stuff, they want to know you know something. The dealerships probably already put fear in them of saying, look, don't even think of having your car serviced anywhere else because these bozos out there don't know what they're doing. You know how they talk. It's unfortunate, but it happens that way. So this is credentials, it's marketing stuff, there's all kinds of things. We have about 60 or 70 shops that have been involved. We're going to up the game big time. And I think Rick gets involved within the next 4 weeks or so. He'll be online helping you if you want to know more about that. So what does the future hold? Where do we go with all this stuff? Well, EVs, we've got the Chevy Volt, we've got the Nissan Leaf that's already out, the Tesla S, pricey, lovely car, Ford Focus, Mitsubishi I didn't put that in there because Mitsubishi's struggling so much. But we've got these EVs. Now, if you want to work on electric cars, I would really recommend, I think no one would disagree with this, that get really good at hybrid cars first. That gets you comfortable with DC-DC converters, inverters, regenerative braking, battery packs, safing down the car. Things you have to do on hybrid cars are going to be mirrored on the EV side. It'd be so much easier. Battery advancement is happening all the time. I mean all the time. So this is a full-time job for me, full-time plus, to stay involved. We do have 3 more trainers getting involved this year, 3 Canadians, to take some of the load off my research, and they're all going to be studying certain cars and then getting back to me so I can keep up with this, because it is quite a lot. So there's a lot there. Battery technology, motor technologies. You probably heard of an element, and I'm probably going to murder the name, neodymium. I think I mispronounced that. But it's a rare earth metal that's found mostly in China. Well, it's mined mostly in China. It's actually found in the state of Utah, where I'm from originally. But motor technology may be changing and going away from permanent magnet motors, which is pretty much what we have now, to these induction motors that Tesla uses on their Tesla S. So you may see things change just because of the geopolitical world we're in. Fuel cell technologies, 2 or 3 years ago, if someone had asked me about fuel cells, I would have said, I think you're nuts. It's not going to happen. Honda has been working me over every time I see these guys at the events I go to, a lot of SAE events, that it's going to happen. And I'm starting to believe that the fuel cell car itself is going to be a reality. What I still don't buy into, I don't see, is where we're going to buy this stuff, and the hydrogen, and how much is it going to cost us. We really don't have an answer for that. Just give me 1 second here. Again, if you have any questions, if there's a topic you wanted to discuss and I haven't mentioned it, please call 508-963-1132. Darcy will bring a note in the room. I'm in a different room, and then I'll be able to answer that question for you live. All right, then we get this advanced user interfaces, internet, iPhones, smartphones. The people that buy these, not everybody, but a lot of people who buy them are pretty internet savvy. Now, the old guys, the ones that have the money, the young guys, the ones who want to do it, it's always been that way. Think of Corvette owners for a minute. But at any rate, the more you know about how you interface one thing with another. I mean, a customer's going to come in and say, I have Bluetooth, but I can't get my phone to Bluetooth into my radio. Well, if you're good at this, you can do it quickly. You can go out, not charge them anything, do it in the driveway, make them really happy, or it can be a paid-for service. You say, that's fine, ma'am. Let's make an appointment, write everything down you want to do. I don't know if you know this, but if you have a good scan tool, a factory scan tool for the Prius, you can reprogram when the dome light comes on, what doors open. There's lots of things you can get paid for to just sit there with your scan tool and have the customer tell you what they want the car to do. And on my Chevy Volt, it's now done by the owner right on the little iPod device in the middle. Factory tools, information, it's never going to change. If you can't figure out how to run a business and make enough money for factory scan tools, talk to me. Even though I do very little management training, I'm going to be doing more management courses online because I think it's important. We did a fun class here in Massachusetts called the Off-Ramp. It was not on the internet. It was live. It was in a hotel for the day. You had to be a shop owner to come. And Dave Weber, my attorney, Biodiesel Dave, myself, and my wife Deb, this was this year, January of this year, went ahead and did this class to help people figure out how to get out of business. If you don't have kids taking over the business, it's quite daunting. And I don't have kids taking over my business, so part of it's from what I'm presently doing in my life. I won't be leaving anytime soon, but I am in my early 60s, so obviously I'm not going to be doing this forever. And then when you're really comfortable with this stuff and you're finding it easy, that's when it becomes fun. I tell you, a lot of shop owners and technicians that I talk to, and I see them all the time, when they get into it, when they finally get over that learning curve or the fear, They're telling me they're having more fun working on these cars than they've had working in this industry in a long time. I think that's true for them. So are we making money? Well, Matt Overbeck, this is from him, his slide here. 15 to 40% of the overall car count is what he's getting. Dave Taylor at Taylor's Automotive is over 50%. Okay, Arts Automotive in Berkeley, California, I want to say he's around 70%. There are shops that are 100% all they work on. Now these are typically they've got contracts with taxi cab companies, fleets, but they're small, 2 bays, 2 or 3 bays. Is it profitable? Yes, once you figure out getting down here, once you've done some experimenting. You're going to need to get in, spend some time on some jobs, the first couple of jobs, where you're probably not going to make enough money because it's going to be difficult to kind of get over all of this kind of new stuff. But is it profitable? It can be, in my opinion. Will you find it profitable right away? No. What will it cost you to get involved in the kind of the bare bones, basic, I've got a pretty nice shop, but I don't want to do EVs yet, just hybrids? Just do Toyota to start with, because the scan tool is dirt cheap. Get some gloves and a meter, take a couple of classes, get a sign, you're done. You can get in there for $5,000 and start doing 30s, 60s, and 90s on Priuses and start handling most of the problems, including battery swaps. So yes, if you try to do it on everything, no, you're going to get some cars that will just tear you up. So you have to be careful what you want to do. Pricing it out is important. Getting customers to trust you, obviously, and pricing it what do you think is reasonable. I'm in the Rust Belt. I mean, some of these cars up here, if you're not, and you've ever had a Massachusetts car up on the lift or loosen an exhaust bolt, you don't even want to work on this thing. I mean, they're horrible. Customers will price shop you because they do, but if your price is the same or close to a dealership, they'll go with you anyway because they like the little guy. So you don't have to be 20% cheaper. You have to be in the ballpark, in a really small ballpark, like the one we wish the Red Sox would stop playing in. That's a whole other story. I shouldn't even say that. I'm going to get depressed. I've never seen the Red Sox so horrible in 40 years. At any rate. And if you want, I'll give you a quick two little tips about growing your business, any business. If you want to grow a business, there's 2 ways to do it. There's only 2 that I know of. Be better than your competition without bad-mouthing the competition. Just be good at what you do. And let people know that without, again, beating the other guy up. And secondly, be unique. Do something or be something, or I do Elton John impersonations. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. So for years, I kept an Elton John CD, it was a tape probably back then, back in our little boombox in the rating room. And if I had time at the end of the day, I'd quickly get in my office and clean up a little bit, and I'd put on this entire Elton John outfit. I mean, from soup to nuts. And I'd start talking with an English accent, just a little bit, eh? And I'd walk down into the waiting room and just hang out with people and have fun and poke fun at them, and they would take pictures of their auto mechanic dressed like Elton John. And guess what? I got a reputation as a nut job. No, as a guy who's having fun. We already were a special if you did Hondas. That's pretty much what we did. So we're doing Hondas. We're dressing like Elton John. We started a non-profit organization in '91 called Worcester Shines, Inc., which actually is the non-profit for fat cats still. And we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of good things as well. So let people know about it. Be unique and be better than your competition without bad-mouthing anybody. So also in this particular business, you got to know the right people and the right companies to deal with. There are 52 companies right now building charging equipment. That's a little charger this side of my house here. That charger is made by it's sold through OTC, made by Lear, and it's very inexpensive. If you own a Volt, they're $500. But there's all kinds of junk out there. Okay, this picture here is from the crate of a Honda battery you get shipped in from Honda. Well, what Honda doesn't tell you sometimes, when you buy a brand new Honda battery for a Civic, it can be $500 for shipping, which you don't know until you get the receipt. You've already priced the job out, so pay attention. This little label right here could keep a lot of people away. You will be killed or hurt. Not like you might be, but you will be. It's for consumers. This is Reinvolt Technology putting a plug-in kit in the back of a Prius. I just had a chance, Hilltown Hybrids. Google that one, Hilltown hybrid.com. That's Jamie Woodrich in Plainfield, Mass. He does some great stuff with his plug-in stuff. Big part of the business? No. But boy, do people love him. They talk about it. I mean, he's got a great reputation. This is just a picture of our Ford Escape. You know, you can fix these batteries when they get hit. You don't have to replace a battery on a Ford Escape when it gets in an accident. It's a very, very repairable battery. I do work with the New York City police and the taxi departments, and they love the fact that I went down there and showed them how to fix it. Instead of a replacement cost, you ready for this? Without a core, and when there's damage, there's no core, $8,000 for that battery pack. We're fixing it in 4 hours labor with maybe $4 in parts. Okay, this is the back seat of a Honda Civic, 2003 to 2005. Underneath this cover, that's the computer, is the DC-DC converter. Well, if you don't test the 12-volt battery on a regular basis, and the 12-volt battery starts to fail, the DC-DC converter, which is air-cooled, which is your alternator in a hybrid, is working overtime. Next thing you know, it smokes the DC converter. It's $1,000 from Honda, a bunch of labor. And what was the cause? A poorly maintained 12-volt battery. Do you think the dealerships are actually testing the 12-volt batteries every time they come in? I don't think so. If you put an amp clamp on the 12-volt battery on a Prius or any car that starts with a big electric motor, guess how many amps it's pulling out of there? Less than 30 in most cases. So in Massachusetts, every winter, it'll be cold here in a few more months, Mother Nature's going to test everybody's battery in January when they try to start their car up in the morning and it's, 5 degrees outside. But a Prius battery or a Honda battery can be, a 12-volt one, can be low on charge. It barely gets its 25 amps out. The car starts up. They drive around. The battery's junk and no one's looking at it. We also help you, by the way, with marketing. If you don't know what to say or how to do this, talk to Rick. But we put together a lot of simple little marketing things. You just take it, put your logo on it, put it on the front counter that says, "We service hybrids, and here's what we do." And another picture here is just the different battery types, of which there's many. And if you want to try to rebuild your batteries, good luck. Most of the guys have stopped doing it, tried doing it, because the biggest problem there is matching all of these 8 cells. There's 8 cells in this guy. It's from an RX400H. They got 8 cells here. Then I've got 36 of these guys in series. One cell that doesn't stay in balance, the whole pack is bad. This is where Reinvolt Technologies figured out a lot of things. So you really need to know the right people and the right companies, or you're going to get burned, and you're not going to make any money, and you're going to have customers who are unhappy because you're experimenting too much. So maybe we should just get rid of internal combustion completely. Maybe we should just drive around with electric cars. What do you think? What a thought, huh? Well, that's a blade that's 196 feet long. That's a rental car I was in. This thing is made in North Dakota. Pretty sure I got that right. This was being shipped to Texas. I don't know where your politics are. I know there's a big election that somebody's running again for president, I was told. But if we could put enough wind power out there by 2020, we're going gangbusters right now. Charge up 50 million plug-in cars during the day when you're plugged in at work, plugged in at home. A lot of charging stations now. There'll be a lot more then. Then when there's peak power, when you get that 3 or 4 hours that happens only 16 times per year. 3 or 4 hours. 16 times per year, we get too much of a load on our electrical grid. So we have to build a whole new power plant for that 2-hour time span. Why not just pull the power back out of that big battery in the back of your car? You get paid 50 cents a kilowatt hour. You bought it for 15 cents, and you don't even own the battery anyway. By 2020, owning a battery will probably be a thing of the past, and people will lease them from the utility companies. A lot of interesting things we can do for a lot of reasons. That would be homegrown electricity, driving hopefully a Prius made in America, not in Japan. Our next car looks like it might be a C-Max because it's made in Michigan. The last car we just built was a Volt, also made in Michigan. For those who know me, that's a change for this guy. But as I get a little older, a little bit wiser, I'm thinking, why not buy it in America if it's good, if it makes sense. So far, the Volt has been fabulous. Okay, a little bit about this charging station stuff, because it's kind of a big interest of mine. There's an SAE standard, J1772, that says you need to have 5 pins, and these pins will do various things, all right? And there's 3 different levels of chargers. Level 1 is the charger that came with the car. It's, plugs into a 110-volt outlet. It produces 8 amps. It usually doesn't draw that much. It's $500 to replace it, but they're usually free. And that's called level 1 charging. Level 2 charging, of which there's level 2A and level 2B, if you want to think of it that way. 220 volts, dedicated, bolted somewhere. You typically don't unplug it and take it with you. It's attached to some device. 16 or more amps. You can buy these for $900. That's what I'm talking about, putting outside your shop, right, and offering free electricity. $900. You can't buy a nice set of Snap-on wrenches for $900 today, last I knew. Level 3 charging on the A and B. This new Ford Focus, if you watch this, it's kind of cool because they just came out. The Ford Focus, that has roughly the same range as a Leaf, charges in half the time. So I can charge this thing up like in 4 hours versus 8 hours for the Leaf with level 2. Why? Well, the level 2 charger for a Ford Focus is spitting out 30 amps, roughly. And the Leaf is half that. So Ford's able to thermally control that battery better. It's got water cooling. The Leaf doesn't. So there's kind of different levels now of level 2, more amps, not more volts. Level 3 is DC. This is all AC charging. For those of you who've been following this, if not, make sure you do your homework. And there's a pretty good information on our website, I think, to learn more. Level 3 is 440 volts at DC. That's $10,000 now. The price has come down, but there's some competition. We get 2 types. We got Chatamo, and we got the 1772 Combo. So here's a Chatamo charger. Big heavy cable. This goes on a Leaf or a Mitsubishi i. It's not on anything else yet. And that's what it looks like inside. Those are our plugs. These are our DC plugs right here. And then some communication. Well, there's some competition. This is the new SAE Combo plug. This is the plug here for level 2 and level 1. It's level 1 and level 2. These 2 things on the bottom will be level 3 DC. This whole unit together now does both. If I back up a little bit, there's a plug right here. That's level 1 and 2. That's level 3. So the Leaf and the Mitsubishi i require 2 plugs and a bigger flap. And the new one is going to just be one deal. So that's kind of interesting. Not official yet, but it looks like it's coming. Probably going to be that way. So if you get level 2 charging, that's this thing. It still fits everything, so don't get confused. Buy a level 2 charger for $900. Put it out there, put a big old sign, get those people lots of dough to come over. Even if they don't need any service on their car, they own something else, you can work on that as well. Alrighty. This is something new. Midtronics builds this GRX 5100. If you heard about the Chevy Volt Fire, which is coming up on its 1st year anniversary in November, I did a webinar on that, and it's free. It's kind of buried on my website, but if you go to my website and look at training videos, go all the way down the bottom. I believe at the bottom there it says free Volt training video. It's another hour's worth. We talk about the Fire, a lot about the Volt. If you got the time, certainly probably good to show it in class. If you're an instructor, feel free. It's out there. Anybody can see it. No password required. At any rate, when that fire happened on the Chevy Volt, and there's a whole story behind that, Midtronics, I'd like to say it had something to do with this, but Midtronics got a phone call from GM and said, man, we're in trouble. We need something right now. And think of it this way. If you had a leaking gas tank at the scene of an accident, you'd want to drain that tank, wouldn't you? I mean, you hear it all the time. Something derails. If there's a hazardous substance, you drain it if it's liquid. Well, what do? This device here, that's pretty big, by the way. That's probably 3 feet long, 1 foot high, 1.5 feet wide. It's heavy. That discharges a Chevy Volt battery in a hell of a hurry. There's gigantic resistors inside here and a lot of air blowing through here. There's 3 more fans on the other side. Okay, these big resistors, a lot of air going through. So this can discharge it, and that's $10,000. Hasn't come out yet. It's a little late in coming. They were hoping to be out a couple months ago. So I want you to be aware of what's going on out there. So it can analyze batteries, charge batteries, but more importantly, discharge batteries. Always looking for new business opportunities. That's what a businessman's doing. That's what I've been doing. I've been self-employed for 35 years this December 20th, as a matter of fact. And I'm always looking for where's a business opportunity for me with something I already know. I already know this. I already have the product. I can just shovel it over there and someone else will want it. That'll help my sales. It's always been that way. So think about getting in touch with your local salvage yard, your fire department. You want to make a friend of a fire department? And I don't care if you buy these gloves from me, but buy a set of high voltage gloves, size 11, they're big, and bring it to the fire department and say, here's some high voltage gloves. If you go to the scene of an accident, whether it's a hybrid or EV, this will keep you safe. If they don't have any, $100, you're in. Nice thing to do. Anyway, so that's going to be on the marketplace. Does that fit in with what you do? I don't know. Is there some place for you to use this? I don't know, but it's a way to think about it. So where are our barriers to EVs? Hybrid, by the way, have no barriers. Hybrids have no barriers. $23,000 for a Prius. High end is $29,000. They can't sell enough. The Prius C, the new little one. If you haven't seen that new little Prius C, came out a few months ago. $20,000, brand new. 56 miles per gallon in the city. That's real mileage. 47, 48 on the highway. What's not to like? Okay. At any rate, so we get some barriers though. We got price, too high. Too high. Yeah, we talk politics just for a minute. If Obama gets reelected, who knows? Nobody knows who's going to win. Obama gets reelected, you stay with the $7,500 fee, you get back on your taxes. So I bought a Volt last year. I'd probably pay $30,000 a year in federal taxes. I'll probably get them finished by October. A lot of stuff going on here. So out of that 30 grand, this year I'm going to give the government 22.5, and I keep $7,500 to myself. I have no problem with that. I'm a happy guy. So I'm going to set a $75 tax break on electric cars. Goes away if Romney gets in. Range. Right now, range is horrible. Horrible. I'm sure someday some kid's going to walk up to me if I keep this Volt for 20 years, and I'll be old and decrepit, and the kid will look at me and go, hey, man, hey, dude, is that your Volt? Wow, is that like the first one? Did you like really pay $45,000 for a car that only goes 40 miles on a charge? And laugh at me and walk away. Because the range is pitiful. Even a pure EV today is probably going to be 100 miles, with the Tesla S being a great exception, better. Time to recharge. Takes too long. The DC chargers are great, but we haven't even made up our mind which one we're going to use yet, so we're not quite there yet. Price is too high. Range is too short. Can't charge it up in a hurry. I don't have too many charging stations anyway. So those are real barriers, and they're there. Will they come down? Yeah. When? Who the hell knows? Eventually, I don't know exactly when. I love this stuff, so I'd love to see it happen in 5 years, but I think that's being a little bit of Pollyanna. So where's the future? Well, in case you didn't know it, the Hummer was for sale. GM, when they went bankrupt, got to get rid of Hummer. They weren't making any money at the end. There was a lot of money in the beginning, but it kind of didn't do so well. 6,000 units the last year they were in business. So they tried to sell it. A lot of you heard a rumor that the Chinese government was going to buy it, a company over there. But guess what? The emperor of China, whoever that is, the communistic leader, said, hey, wait a minute. If we start building Hummers in China, it will give us a bad reputation when it comes to the environment. Really? So guess what happened? Nothing. Liquidated. Prius went on to be the world's biggest hybrid seller. That's an old picture I took years ago. That's my Prius sitting there. So gas prices control EV sales. 75 cents a gallon is what electricity costs in Massachusetts. In Quebec, did a lot of training up there, a lot of EV training recently. In Quebec, it's 25 cents a gallon for electricity. In other words, it's 5 cents a kilowatt hour. Massachusetts around about 15 cents a kilowatt hour. 75 cents equivalent. Or wouldn't we like to have gasoline at $3 a gallon? So fuel cells are coming. We'll wait and see what happens with hydrogen. Plug-in hybrids are here and popular. Pure electrics are here and not popular, but they might be someday. We'll see. So we've got hybrids. I think you need to be in that game. Plug-in hybrids, it won't be too difficult, but you'll need a charging station to be in that business. Electric, there's no business yet, but it doesn't hurt to be ready. Biodiesel, if the price of diesel gets to $5-6 a gallon, biodiesel is worth it. If not, it isn't. Ethanol, the same thing. Got to stop making it from corn, which doesn't make sense. They're looking at some new enzymes, some things that they can use to make ethanol from other plant matter that we don't eat. That may or may not happen, but they're working in that direction. Compressed natural gas, liquid natural gas makes a boatload of sense. We'll see what happens. We've already talked about fuel cells. So what direction are you in? Those are all the different vehicles for sale in the United States right now. E85, ethanol, compressed natural gas, everything's here. Honda, as you know, has bet on this. You can buy a Civic in all 50 states that runs on compressed natural gas. Lovely vehicle. Not doing really well. Well, certainly gasoline is a dead end. It is. We can't continue down that road. We can't continue down the road of diesel if it's going to be oil-based. At least that's my opinion. You may disagree, but if you tuned in, you probably agree with half this stuff. Here's some web links. That's us, fixev.com or fixhybrid.com, either one. Go to links. You'll find lots of interesting things there. Reinvolt.com is where you can get rebuilt battery packs. Dave Taylor, he doesn't sell them to just anyone. If you've done training with me, that shows you your ticket in the door to buy one. This is another email or another web address. We have many over the years that we still own them and they still keep feeding you to the same place. You go to ASE, which I have done recently to sign up again. As you know, you can do computer-based testing. It's half the money. Great organization. I just wish they could get something with hybrids. They haven't done it yet. And there's CincinnatiHybrid.com. So there's some websites. There is a revolution going on. In fact, there's a revolution going on right there in Washington. This is Auto Repair Revolution. A wonderful woman, I forget her name right now, took a class with me. We went out to dinner, had some fun, really enjoyed her outlook on life. She's a Subaru specialist, and but she's getting in the hybrid business. But she clearly understands the revolution is happening. So there'll be more classes this week. We've got a European one on Thursday, a Korean one tomorrow, or vice versa, again at 2 o'clock. Up Your Voltage is going to Southern California in November. If you've ever wanted to take our 6-day class, you're on the West Coast, or would just like to be in Southern California in November, come down and see us. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait. So I didn't get any phone calls. That's okay. Hopefully this went well. I think, is that my last slide? Yes, it is. So thank you very much for tuning in. It is 3 o'clock now Eastern Time. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I like feedback of all types. If I missed something that I didn't get to, I'm sorry you didn't call me. I would have been happy to change it. But hopefully this gives you some idea what you need to do, where you can start, if we can help you in any way. I didn't want this to be a commercial. Just go to fixhybrid.com. Lots of information there. I'm going to sign off. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a good day.